Hey folks, Jim Thomas here, Fitness Management and Consulting, and welcome to our channel today. I appreciate y'all being here. And if you're new to the channel, if you're finding us for that very first time, welcome. It's good to have you. And as a quick reminder to all, my focus, my mission here on the channel is I want to be able to provide as much information as I can to as many folks as I can, across all regions. And the best way I can do that is when you choose to subscribe to the channel, when you choose to like the videos, when you choose to offer comments, and when you choose to share that information. So if you've not yet done so, please hit that subscribe button. For those that have, thank you. We appreciate that. And then to learn more about me, learn more about my company, and how we can help take your business to that next level, be sure to check out those links below. And then for additional ways you can choose to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member just by using that join button, and you can say thank you with the button below as well. So with all that said, let's get into our topic here today. And what it is there was recently a survey done, okay, and it was sponsored by Club Industry Magazine in conjunction with Club OS. And I think you can go to their websites at clubindustry.com, clubos.com. The survey, I believe I received this from Club Industry, so you can go probably pull it from them as well. And so some of the findings on this survey is what I want to talk about here. And it was, what is your main concern as it relates to your fitness business? What is your main concern as it relates to your fitness business? And they have 6 items, 1 through 6. That came up. I wanted to talk about those 6 things and maybe offer some feedback on it. Okay, so on the survey, again, the Club Industry, Club OS survey that they had done, what is your main concern as it relates to your fitness business? Number 1, this was at 28.4%, was the cost and profitability. What's it cost to run the place and profitability. The number 1 concern at over 28.4%. So I think a pretty big number. And certainly, cost and profitability, that's probably why you got into this, right? I mean, the nature of any business, is to make a profit. And some comments I would make on this, if you're struggling with this, okay, or if you're getting into the business, you're looking to do something new, we want to be mindful of some of this. The fitness industry, by and large, it's a fixed cost business. That overhead roughly will stay the same no matter how many members you have. There's some variables in there on sales commissions and things like that. And so 2 things I would immediately go to if I'm talking about cost and profitability. Number 1 is my rent. And of course your rent, it is what it is. I mean, whatever you signed off on it, that's what it's going to be. And what we like to see is that rent to be about 15%. Now, sometimes it can tick up a little bit, not a lot, but we like to see it about 15% of your total revenues. Okay, and I run into a lot of clubs that are at 55%, they're at 60%, big numbers. Okay, and it's eating away at the profits. And of course, the answer to that is we have to increase our revenues. This gets into some other concerns later. We have to increase our revenues. Okay, so one of the things I would comment on though is if we're in that situation where rent is not at that 15%, revenue increase won't get to where you want it overnight. What can we do? And one of the things that we have done many times in gyms is we go out and start looking for sublets. Who else can we sublet to? Who else might want to come in and pay rent? Maybe times that we're not there. Okay, maybe in the middle of the afternoon, you might rent some space in your group X room if you have that for ballroom dancing. Somebody wants to come in and teach that. Somebody has taekwondo. Maybe there's cheerleading. Maybe there's something else. We had one club, they had Verizon actually came in and had a table, and they was out there as a kind of a customer service table, to meet folks and hopefully get new sales. So a lot of things like that. So look at some sublets to kind of quickly narrow that while you're growing revenues. The second thing on this cost is payroll. And just generally speaking, I'll use a number of 40%. Okay, you want your payroll to be about 40%. Because if you think about this, if payroll's at 40, if your rent's at 15, now we spent 55%. Say everything else is 15%. Okay, now you're talking a 30% profit margin. Okay, now we're going here. And normally it starts with that fixed overhead, payroll and rent. And so let's look at payroll at 40%. Now, some of the mistakes that I see, we try to get these numbers down. Sometimes on that payroll, we can choke this thing off.
Okay, and that's not good. Okay, sometimes we decide we're not going to have salespeople. Someone that has to do the selling at some level in most cases. Okay, and otherwise all you're handling is just who's interested, that warm audience, the apples on the tree, so to speak. And then also within that 40%, let's make sure they're productive. It's like when I go into a turnaround situation and we have to make decisions on where we're at. Hey, what's not working? What's not productive? If it's staffing that's just not producing, we have to maybe reallocate some of that and do something a little bit different. So cost and profitability, just a couple thoughts on that for you. But that was number one at 28.4%. Number two at 25.5%, we're already well over half, okay. Number two is new membership sales. Okay, number two concern, and of course that goes hand in hand with your number one concern of cost and profitability, but it's new membership sales. And so in talking about that, new membership sales, the number one problem that independent gyms have is that nobody knows who you are, and those that do don't have you at top of mind. And you want to get together a comprehensive marketing plan to get the word out. You want everybody to know who you are, okay? And, it's not as terrible as it sounds. I mean, there's so much you can do that's not going to cost us anything. I mean, for example, when's the last time you put out a press release? How active are you on interacting with the media? Okay, I mean, there's a lot of things right there, but we need to have a strong outreach program. What I see most clubs are doing, they may have one or two things that they are doing to drive traffic. And from where I sit, you want to have about 15, 16, 20 things that can drive traffic. And if you want to chat about that, click the link below. Happy to make available a free 45-minute strategy session if you have interest in that. But we can certainly help you with that. The other thing with new membership sales, make sure that you have a process. When the customer comes in, what is that process that we follow? And a proven process, okay? What is that process we're going to follow? What does that second sale look like? Okay, that's where PT comes in. Where does that third sale come in? That might be where retail comes in. Okay, so we want to really be effective in this because this can make a dramatic difference. Little ticks, going to make a big impact for you. And I would say you can check the channel here. We've got well over 1,300 videos by now, probably approaching 1,400 of videos that are how-to in nature that can teach you how to do all of this. So new membership sales came in number two at 25.5%. Number three on our list, and I see this one over and over, even for clubs that do well, is a big issue. But at 18.3% was member retention. Okay, and it doesn't do us any good to sign them up if we can't keep them. Okay, we need to keep our members. And so many clubs do not have effective strategies in place to do this. And what I would say is, what is your process? What's our onboarding process look like? I mean, one of the things that we know are members that stay with us the longest. The new members, they'll use your gym 20 times first 60 days. Are we tracking this? Are we monitoring this? Are we encouraging this? Are we nurturing that? Okay. Members, it's almost like I could walk into any club and tell you who's going to cancel next. I can just pull a member usage report, and whoever's not using it, it's probably who's going to cancel. And so are we pulling a member usage report every morning? Okay, what are we doing? And one of the things, this actually comes up later here in some of these concerns, but there's a direct correlation between the member experience and them staying with you, okay, and your retention issues, okay, the direct correlation there. And some of the other things that's interesting to note, I mean, go back and look at your numbers. Make sure you know your numbers on this kind of thing, because a person that joins on a month-to-month program, on average, they're going to stay about 6 months. If that's all you're selling is month-to-month, could be a challenge. The average person that joins on a 12-month program will stay about 15 months. And that average person that'll join on a 24-month program stay about 27 months. So there's things there you can do from a business perspective to influence this. But you want to make sure you get processes in place for your member retention. Number four, just right behind member retention, coming in at 17.3%, is employee retention. Okay, we want to keep who we have, and this kind of comes back to the same thing. Here's one of the things I would comment on employee retention. If you've watched a lot of other videos that we put out, if you haven't, go watch some. But one of the things we talk about is in your business, you want differentiation. Okay, what are you doing that's so different than everybody else? What are you doing that's so much better than everybody else? You want the same thing for your staff. Why should I go to work for you? What makes you so much better than everybody else? Okay, and we want to answer those questions, and we want to create this culture that's going to make people want to come to work for us. And so one of the first things I would talk about is, our onboarding. How do we onboard our staff? One of the things that I see over and over is people get hired and they're kind of put into, kind of no man's land, really not being ready. How do I work the software? How do I work this? How do I answer this? How does this work? We don't always know. Make sure our onboarding is good. Make sure our training program is top notch. Okay, make sure we have the finest training program in the area, because if you can develop people, have management training, and really, can really set you apart. And one of the things I found over the years, there's nothing that builds loyalty, quite like training somebody and teaching them, how they can be successful at something. Other things like your culture, we want to be this. It's like in business, we want to be easy to do business with. We want to be, in a sense, easy to work for. Okay, maybe you have flex scheduling. Okay, maybe you have scheduled where you can work 3 days a week. Because many cases, you can make calls from home. Okay, and we can look at a CRM and follow up and see what's being done. Maybe it's complimentary childcare. Maybe it's corporate memberships for staff. Maybe it's one bonus day off a month that's paid for. Whatever it is, but we want to do things that really set yourself apart. But the thing I would comment here on the employee retention, differentiation. Why should I go to work for you? What makes you better than everybody else? In terms of compensation, I would have everybody on some kind of performance based, where they can earn more money based on performance. And at the end of the day, that's really all you're going to have, because if they're not performing, why would you keep them, right? So employee training is going to be big. So employee retention, it's a big one. That's your brand. I mean, that employee retention, that starts to affect everything else, because you start doing all that. Guess what? Retention starts to improve, sales start to improve, profitability starts to improve as well. Number 5 on the list, and it's a little bit, percentage-wise, a little lower. It's at 7.7%. And this is, what is your main concern as it relates to your fitness business? And that's the member experience. Okay, that's number 5 on the list at 7.7%. The member experience, and this directly correlates to number 3, which was member retention, which was coming in at 18.3. Without that member experience being what it needs to be, you'll struggle with retention. And that member experience, I mean, you want to give super service. You want to give that good faith effort. You want to give the customer more than they ever bargained for, more than they ever thought they were going to get. Okay, and again, on differentiation, what makes you so different than everybody else? And one of the things I would suggest, I was talking to someone recently, is you have a meeting with your staff and ask them to talk about not your company, but other companies that they've been to that really create a great customer experience, and talk about what they see in these companies and how do they go about creating a great customer experience. Because really, it doesn't really cost a lot to do that. Okay, go above and beyond. Okay, I know there's businesses that I frequent that have tremendous the customer experience is just amazing, and it's how they handle things, and it comes back to how we train our staff. Okay, how we teach them how to do things. And then number 6 on my list here, or on the list of the survey, and that just picked up another 2.9%. So the top 5 are cost and profitability, number 1. Number 2 is new membership sales. Number 3 is member retention. Number 4 is employee retention. Number 5 is the member experience. And for anyone watching that needs help with this, that's the purpose here. We want to help you with this. Feel free, click the link below, for a complimentary, a free 45-minute strategy session. Happy to chat with you about how we can potentially help you with some of these issues, because these are all the issues that relate to the bottom line. And you can have the nicest place in the world, but it's not going to be able to deliver what you want it to, unless you're making money. And at the end of the day, sales are oxygen. And if you're not getting enough sales, that only means you're not getting enough oxygen for your business. So again, I want to thank the folks over at Club Industry Magazine, thank the folks at Club OS for combining and getting this survey put together and putting that information out. I believe you can probably go to Club Industry and probably grab this, I think. Okay, I think that's how I received it. And so look at it and let's put together a plan of action on how you can improve in each one of these areas. And how do you stack up? Are these your concerns as well? So folks, my name is Jim Thomas. My company is Fitness Management and Consulting. I appreciate you being here today. Again, as a reminder, my focus and my mission here in the channel is I want to be able to reach as many people as I can across all regions. And again, the best way I can do that is when you subscribe, when you hit the like button, when you offer comments, and when you share the information. So if you've not yet done so, now would be a great time. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you to those that already have. And then to learn more about me, learn more about my company, be sure to check out those links below on different ways we can help take your business that next level. And if you want to choose to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member. Hit that join button. You can click that thank you button. And appreciate y'all being here. And we'll look forward to seeing y'all in that next video.